What is up, everybody? Welcome back to a new video. And in today's video, I'm super excited because I'm going to be kind of doing like a breakdown of an arrangement, a string arrangement specifically. And this is kind of an excerpt from one of my friend's pieces called Remember Me. My friend's name is Yuang Chen. He has a YouTube channel called Seycara Orchestral. You might have heard of him. But if you're interested in kind of like the Studio Ghibli type of music, just beautiful Asian-inspired themes and beautiful melodic harmonic structures and everything like that, definitely check out his channel. I've put a link in the description box below, and yeah, just enjoy yourself. But in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at just a short excerpt of this intro from Remember Me. It's a piece for English horn and strings and optional percussion, but the intro only has strings, so you can just hear the beauty in the arrangement. So I just wanted to go over two general topics here in this video. Number one is not to overload the entire string section or any orchestral section for that matter, as we'll see visually how this works out in this excerpt. And in addition to that, we'll kind of discuss the way he modulates and uses chordal structures to get from one idea to another and see how this applies to our own music making, which will be really cool. So what I've done is I've created a little mock-up using Cinematic Studio strings here. I've also brought up an instance of Cinepiano just so I can demonstrate any chords after we listen to this while I'm explaining. And yeah, let's just have a quick listen and watch the sheet music at the same time. So here we go. All right, cool. So beautiful, beautiful piece. This intro has a lot of stuff going on into it, but let's just kind of talk about an overview here. So the first thing that's immediately visible is the way the voices are interacting with each other. You can see here that the violins 1 clearly have the melody throughout the entire thing. And in the first page, the violins 2, which generally is seen as a supporting function, right? They either layer underneath the violins 1 to give it some extra thickness as the violins play, or they can interact with the lower sections to give them even more support. So in the first page, the violins 2 are basically playing with the violas and celli and basses rhythmically in the same direction to give them more thickness. In the second page, you can see it joins the violins 1 now to give a harmonic color to the melody as it's going along, right? So that's the first thing to note here, and this is something we can apply as well. Sorry about that. And then the next thing you'll notice is that in the intro here, he's actually using two cello sections. Okay, so you have the cello 1s and then the cello 2s. And if you take a look at what the cello 2s are doing, you can see they basically look very, very similar to the double basses in this case. And let's look at the first page. You can see here it's basically copying what the basses are doing. So you might be asking yourself, why do we need two low string sections playing the bass line? Well, first of all, think of the entire context of this piece. It's a very lush piece, it's a very emotional piece, and it needs a little bit of extra weight and support throughout the entire frequency spectrum for everything to sound lush and rich together. So when you have a bass line like this, in the contrabasses, if you notate it out, in real life, the pitch that we hear is actually going to be an octave lower than what's written on the page. So what you see here, this F over here in the basses, if I actually go to this bass track, it's actually this F that you hear. This one, you hear how low that is, right? And you see the same note written up in the cello. However, in the cello, it's actually this note. So it's an octave higher. So essentially what you get is an octave bass line. And so this fills up the very sub lows, and it also brings in the kind of the, low mids of the frequency spectrum. So the whole low spectrum is filled out essentially by these two sections already. And this gives us a very clear harmonic shape. When we hear everything in context, it's very easy to hear what the harmony is doing. So that allows room for the first cello, the violas, and the second violins to do all the other harmonic stuff, right? To work with each other in that context, which is really cool. So let's just recap. So violins 1 are doing the melody, violins 2, viola, and cello 1s are doing the bulk of the heavy lifting when it comes to filling in the gaps between the chords, and the cello 2 and the contrabasses are playing the bass line. They're just layered together in octaves to provide a really nice, stable foundation. The next thing I want you to see is that the way the melody and the harmony work together is a very standard orchestrational device. So when the melody is playing, the harmony is staying out of the way, right? Do, do, do. Now we have a long note here. We have a half note, which means the harmony has a chance to come in and respond to what the melody is saying. So as the harmony comes in, as the harmony comes in, it has this beautiful chord, and the melody comes back in and joins the harmony, so then they talk at the same time, and then they basically work together. But it's melody first, then harmony, and then they come in together. And then you get this very full and almost really nicely joined piece of music, right? And this device repeats a few times. So melody, harmony, and then they come together to create a really full sound. Do, 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 right? And so the melody plays here while the harmony is just holding this beautiful chord here, right? If you take a look here, the violins 2 are doing this descending line while the rest of the string sections are actually going up. So you get this contrary motion, which lends again to an even fuller and richer sound, which I really love. And then, let's quickly talk about the chords themselves. So let me go to my piano track, which is here. I should call this piano so I don't confuse myself. So first we get this, which is beautiful. Then we get this, let's see, F, C, now that's C and A, and then we get this E. So this is an F major 7 chord. Already we get this jazzy vibe with the 7th notes, and this is just going to continue. This is what makes part of this excerpt very, very rich, is the addition of the 7ths and extensions. So you get this 1 chord, you get this 2 chord, you get this 3 chord, going to the 4 chord. So essentially it's going from 1 all the way to 4. So we're starting at home, and we're going away from home, which adds a bit of tension. And we hold this tension because we have a fermata here, right? And then we have this do, do, do. It picks up from the 6th chord. Do, 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 do. And then we're basically going down to the 2 chord. So going from 6 down to 2 gets this resolution, because essentially if you bring those down a step, you're getting a 5-to-1. But it's not as resolved as a 5-to-1 because it's not a 5-to-1, it's a 6-to-2. So the 2 chord is a sad chord in a major key, right? In this case, in F major, it's a G minor 7. So it sounds resolved, but it's not completely at home because it's not the 1 chord, it's the 2 chord. Okay? Then next, what do we hear? Let's hear the string arrangement here. Oh, let's stop there. What do we have? B flat, F, D flat, and A. And then with an F on the top. So you get this B flat minor chord, but you also get this A, which actually is a minor major 7. B flat minor with an A on the top. And again, this is a very jazzy sound, so it builds a lot of tension. Then we get this resolution to the 1 chord. So you're basically going from the 4 minor to major 1. Very nice resolution, but it doesn't feel completely at home because we're actually going to the first inversion of 1. So that's very clever device if you want to continue onwards. And the bass line is going from B flat down to A on the 1 chord, going down to G, which is the 2 chord. So let's have this descending motion. Give it a listen. Oops, I'm not recording, just playing. Going to the 2. Now we rise up. Resolve. Beautiful. All right, so let's talk about that for a second. So you get this 2 chord. You get this 5/7 of the 6 chord. So this is a secondary dominant. You're going to the 6 chord, treating that as a temporary 1 and finding the dominant 7th of that chord, which is 5, going to 1. Very, very common device. Then the next chord from bottom up, we have E flat, D flat, G, and that's a D flat, right? And then we have also an A. So the A is an extension in this case, but you get this E flat 7. Okay, so we go from D minor, which is the 6th chord in F major, to kind of flat 7, but as a dominant 7th. Now this goes down a whole step to D flat, F, A. So you get this D flat augmented triad, but it also has an E on the top. So essentially it's like an A major triad, but it also has an F in it. And the F and the E clash together as a major 7th interval. Really, really beautiful. But now we get this resolution to the A major chord. So this F down to E resolves to give us an A major sound. And this is how we gets from F major to A major, which is a chromatic mediant, right? So you get this filmic sound because you're using this very common device of the chromatic mediant, going from 1 key to a third, either higher or lower. So in this case, it's a major third higher, okay? Very, very, very beautiful. So let's have one more lesson and then we'll keep going. Five, 7 of 6, 2, 1. Sorry, F to 6. Flat 7. And then this is like A major now. Now we're complete the modulation. F augmented. Going down to the 2 chord of A major instead of the 1 chord. Melody soars up. Cello basses respond. Melody and the harmony and the violins too. Okay, one thing I really quickly want to point out is that you'll see how the violins 2 is playing a D and the violins 1 are playing an E. The interval is a major second, right? And you might be thinking to yourself, well, don't we need a bigger gap than that? Doesn't it sound clashing if these two voices are so close to each other? And the answer is it really depends. The higher up you go in the frequency spectrum, the smaller of a gap you can actually have. Generally, we try to avoid minor seconds unless you're going for like a horror score or something, because it creates this very, very dissonant sound. But in this case, this E and the D, they're both above middle C. So it's still in a range where if you have close intervals, they don't sound too muddy because of the overtone series. So the lower down you go, the bigger intervals you want. If you take a look here, we have this B and we have this F sharp, which is a fifth apart. And that's kind of the smallest you actually want to get when you're down there to create a clear sound. You want to make sure you have at least a perfect fifth, okay? But the higher up you go, the closer you can get with those intervals. And then naturally, they nicely come into this resolution. So we land on this E7 chord, and that's basically the 5/7 of A major. So we ask this question, and we hold it with the fermata, and then we're waiting for the answer, and then the English horn comes in with its main theme. And so to get that answer, you got to listen to his original score, which I put in the description box below. Beautiful piece of music. I'm sure you would agree. Thank you so much, Seycara, for letting me kind of dissect this excerpt on my channel. Really appreciate it. And for those of you watching, thank you for watching, and leave any questions you might have in the comments below. I really appreciate it. Just click the link in the description if you're interested in string arranging a little bit more. I put together a document specifically on some tips you need to think about when you are writing for strings, and I did an entire video on string arranging as well. So if you're interested in that, definitely check out that video. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in next week's video. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.